Welcome to Keiretsu Forum Presents. My name is Randy Williams. I'm a proud member of Keiretsu Forum. We're a global angel investment network with 52 locations. We're filming in Silicon Valley. I was fortunate as a founder to start Keiretsu Forum almost 18 years ago. Proud to have a portfolio company today. Alexei Dunayev is co-founder and CEO of TranscribeMe, and we're going to be talking a lot of paths, a lot of journeys, and more importantly, ideas, what it takes to raise angel investment, and also how to use the money, and more importantly, how to get to break even. Proud to say this company, we've not only funded this company along with other great angel groups, but we also have a top-off fund called Keiretsu Capital, and we've given capital also to your fine firm. So tell us what you do, and then we're going to talk a lot about your success and how we move toward break even to our entrepreneurs who are listening, and also we're going to be talking about exit. Alexei.
Thanks, Randy. Well, thanks for having me, and I'll tell you a little bit about our project and how we got here. The vision behind TranscribeMe is to help computers understand human voice. We believe that we need to be living in a world where what we say can be understood, analyzed by computers to enrich and enhance our lives and our business. With that in mind, we started TranscribeMe 5 years ago, and I'm really glad to say that Keiretsu Forum members have supported TranscribeMe through our journey, and we started with an idea that we could develop the highest accuracy speech recognition technology by combining artificial intelligence, the AI algorithms, with real human crowdsourced workers, where we would create a virtuous cycle that brings together the best of humans and machines to really get to the point where speech recognition technology can accurately understand human voice. It's a difficult journey. It's a difficult problem to solve. Speech recognition is still very much an active research field. And we're very glad to have the backing of angel investors, particularly Keiretsu Forum, in funding and getting this company to profitability, which we've achieved 5 years after we started in 2012. The idea of TranscribeMe on the back of an envelope is what we had when we started this business. When we first approached angel investors at Keiretsu Forum, at other investment groups, it was really the concept that we could deliver highest accuracy speech recognition AI by combining the algorithms with people. And the journey that we've taken over the last 5 years had us develop our own crowdsourced work platform where we would have tens of thousands, now hundreds of thousands of folks working remotely from home, mostly domestic here in the US, on helping transcribe audio content into text and delivering that to customers in market research, in media, in legal, medical, education fields, as well as using that content to train AI. And in growing our business, we've taken the strategy of working with angel investors to fund our company exclusively. We don't have any venture capital folks on our cap table. And I think that's been a very good strategy for building a company in a space with a high degree of complexity of technology, and getting the company to the point that not only is it profitable, but the technology is successfully deployed, and there are plenty of happy customers using it. So being in this space, choosing to go down the pathway of angel funding has really helped us.
So let's start with controversy. I think you're an advocate for AI. Elon Musk is saying, gee, we got to be very careful about AI in the future. It's very disruptive, taking away jobs. So let's talk about your feelings of AI in regards to the controversy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of AI technology. I'm a big geek at heart. My background is in comp sci. And I've always been interested in artificial intelligence technology as a way to make better decisions, as a way to make better predictions. And in that sense, I see AI as a major step in the evolution of decision-making systems and prediction systems. For centuries, we've been making predictions. We've made predictions using rules-based systems where we've been able to outline every possible action and its intended consequence. We've used statistical systems to make decisions, everything from linear regression through to complex statistical analysis. And AI, in my mind, is an evolution in that long-standing chain of scientific thought. And from that perspective, it's a major leap forward. It is a technology that will allow both consumers and businesses to really make great decisions, to make great predictions, and have those decisions and predictions positively influence their lives. Now, I'll say that in the context of what I do with speech recognition, and our team has been deploying this technology to really help folks grab the knowledge out of the audio stream and video stream that they have and get value from that knowledge by converting it to text and using that text for analysis. And of course, artificial intelligence is the fundamental technology that powers it. But our hypothesis for our project was to put that together with real human crowd workers. And on one hand, you could say, sure, the humans are great at training AI. We're great at tagging data and tagging lots of data and giving that to AI for training. But then the controversy comes when you start looking at, well, what happens? What is the impact of AI back to those trainers? And this is where I'm feeling the most optimistic. I truly believe that AI is there to enrich, improve, and enhance people's lives. And we see that already from numerous applications of AI in business decision making. Just today I got a note from my insurance company saying they've rolled out an claims chatbot. So when I have a flat tire, I can very quickly get somebody to come and fix it for me through a chatbot application that's powered by AI solutions. And that makes my experience much easier. In our space in speech recognition, what we found is by relying on high accuracy AI, we can make people more productive. So when we work with customers in law, in medicine, in education, and government research, when we work with folks that need perfect quality, human verified transcription, where it is sometimes a matter of life or death, having a person review the text and put their stamp of approval on it is critical. But that person can be so much more productive if all they have to do is a quick scan through very accurate AI-driven output. And they can process so much more content if they don't have to type it from scratch, that the application of AI in our space is there to empower folks to actually do more, have more of an impact, and do that on terms that works for them. So I'm a huge fan of AI technology. I think as it comes into more and more spaces, we're going to be making better and better predictions and better decisions. Having said that, there's certainly considerations of ethical use of AI that are still coming together. That's very much an active field of discussion and debate, and we should pay attention to it. At the same time, I think that AI-based technologies are going to be a very large part of what we do in the future. And I'll add one last thing to this. When I was growing up, I studied computer science to become a computer programmer. Well, I think as my son is growing up, if he chooses to go down that pathway, the kind of study he's going to be doing in 10, 15 years is how to be an AI programmer. And that's going to be a profession. It's going to be a career pathway that more and more folks are going to choose. And so that dichotomy of bringing together people and technology is going to continue in one way or another. That's very exciting to me.
Well, and you should be an advocate because you create efficiency in the marketplace. So let's talk about your son. Let's talk about it when he becomes an entrepreneur after he graduates with a PhD like yourself and decides to raise capital. And we're talking about, obviously, angel funding. We're talking about success you've had. You've chosen not to go the VC route for a myriad of reasons, which we'll get into. But tell us about the path of raising capital and how have you used the resources and the capital to expand your company So take us through that. So you are now 5 years old? Is that what the company?
That's right. We had our 5th anniversary in May.
So you came to us 5 years ago, and I guess we've given you a little over $1 million. And what other things we've given you besides capital?
Well, so TranscribeMe is my first investor-backed company. I've had involvement with other startups previously that did not have investors behind them. And so when I came into this space, really what myself and my co-founders had was a back-of-an-envelope idea. We didn't have very much experience raising financing. And we were there at a crossroads deciding what is the best strategy to take. Now, because we had a fairly challenging technical undertaking of building out the human-AI hybrid stack, we wanted to work with as many investors as possible so that we would have folks that would not only support and back the project with funding, but also help grow the business, grow the venture, grow the team, and really help us with the thorny business questions that we faced. And one way to do that was to work with angel groups. Now, coming into it from, I'd say, the ground level, it was a fairly daunting experience because most angel groups work on a monthly process cycle where there is a screening committee, there is a dinner presentation and due diligence process, and navigating that cycle is a very challenging experience. So, which brings me to the value that we saw working with Keiretsu from day one. I think there's something to be said for having experienced, successful entrepreneurs helping new folks coming into the space navigate the process. In fact, it almost seemed to me like entrepreneurship is a professional service, similar to management consulting, accounting, or tax, in that the more you're involved in the space, the longer you do it, the more times you go through the process, the better you get. It's very experiential. And what we found is Keiretsu was able to bottle that experiential process into a set of easy-to-understand guidelines. In particular, when it came to the due diligence part of the work. Having the rigor and having the discipline of the approach that Keiretsu brought to the angel investment process has really allowed me, as a first-time investor-backed entrepreneur, to go through it and understand what success would look like. To this day, as we work with multiple angel investment groups, I think about the process as described and identified and outlined by Keiretsu as the gold standard of the ways that entrepreneurs should engage with angel investors.
And also, we enjoy collaboration and cooperation with all angel groups. But thank you so much. Yeah, so we've created a due diligence booklet. You can get on Apple Bookstores for free, or you can come on our website. It's over 400 pages. I think it's very powerful how we think and way we make decisions before we invest. But you bring up an interesting point. When I was fortunate to create Keiretsu Forum, I need a peer network of like-minded souls, i.e. investors, that in shared swarm intelligence or mind share, to instead of just the wisdom of one person, now I have wisdom of 3,000. Let me ask you, you know, you're busy, but it'd be fascinating to create an entrepreneurial peer network that you guys could all, you women and men could all talk about what's the best path toward funding, what's the best path toward exit. But everybody's so busy, so how would we do that? This is a very spontaneous program. So how do we create a peer network of entrepreneurs that, for instance, let's have what we do with a company that wants to come to Keiretsu Forum, says, hey, come watch first. You know, see it, feel it, meet our current members wherever you are throughout the world. And you can watch presentations, and obviously you can glean a lot out of that. But for a CEO to talk to a co-CEO and say, how is your path? Lessons learned, how can it be more efficient? Would that be very cool to create that peer network? Is that something I'm going to do next, create a peer network of entrepreneurs around the world?
Well, it's a great concept. It's a great idea, and to a large degree, I think that's already very much part of the Keiretsu experience. I was first introduced to Keiretsu by another portfolio company, by Linda Jenkinson and the concierge company that she runs.
Nice.
She's had a very successful engagement working with Keiretsu. So this is before you and I met. I had a couple
Linda
of...
Jenkinson, who lives now in New Zealand, but she fortunately had a wonderful exit, close to 150 million, and many of our Keiretsu Forum members invested in her. We haven't seen enough of Linda. And if you're listening, Linda, or watching, Linda, call me. We'd like to get you involved in opening up Australia and New Zealand.
Well, I've spoken to other folks as well that have had experiences with Keiretsu that they shared with me, and to that degree, I feel that that network is already in place. Inviting entrepreneurs to come watch Keiretsu presentations is a great idea. I'm a huge fan of the fact that you've really made the due diligence handbook available to everybody. Reading it, understanding it is a fantastic insight into the mind of the angel investor. It is certainly a kind of experience working with angel investors that's very different and distinct from working with VCs, at least the way that I understand it, because you not only get access to funding sources, but you really get access to very sharp, experienced, intelligent, driven men and women that are interested in backing new startups. And being able to bring their skills and their experience to your advantage really requires you to understand how they think and what is it that they can do and how to best work with them towards a mutually beneficial outcome. Since becoming a portfolio company, we've had other entrepreneurs that have approached us, that have asked, what's it like to work with Keiretsu? What's it like to go through the process? And I think that distilling that knowledge in the due diligence handbook is especially important because it really helps orient folks that are coming in towards making sure they play to the strength of the group.
Right. And conversely, if entrepreneurs that are watching this, be prepared, hopefully create a semblance of a due diligence booklet. We will, of course, embellish on it. Whole spirit of Keiretsu Forum is all pro bono. We're all giving of our services, our knowledge, our backgrounds, and put them then in a book form, which can be used by the members as a guidepost to possibly make an investment. One thing cool about Keiretsu Forum, there's no warrants or commissions. When you receive capital, it doesn't flow back to us, it goes to you. So whole spirit is swarm intelligence. We're trying to help each other be better investors. So we want to always get educated. We want to be smarter in how we make the investment. My wife and I, we're up to 53 investments at Keiretsu Forum, and that's because we're drafting off really intelligent people. But my dream is cradle to greatness at Keiretsu. The cradle is educating. We really want to educate our members, getting back to due diligence booklet. We flew a wonderful gentleman, an expert on M&A from Vancouver last week, do a workshop here in Northern California, how to create quicker liquidity events. And so we want to educate. We obviously want to fund great companies like you, like your company, but we want to move toward greatness. We need an exit, and we need it sooner than later. And so when a company says, well, they're going to exit in 5 years, that means 10 years. So you've been around now since 2012, and so is there any push or a natural pull to do something toward an exit, or is all your investors happy? When will that exit be? And so I can't help myself asking this because that's when we monetize. We're very patient, and Keiretsu Capital is also an investor. That's our top-off funds. And so are we 5 years away or 2 years away? And what does that look like? Is a strategic going to come in and possibly acquire you? Or are you going to actually do an IPO? Or tell us what that looks like and possibly the duration and what it will take to get to liquidity.
Yeah, well, as the CEO and co-founder, it's always my job to make sure that the board has options on the table of how to proceed with the company. And it's also my job to balance the product vision and investor expectations. We started TranscribeMe to help computers understand human voice. That's the larger picture of what we are doing. We started it out of frustration that there was no technology that could really accurately do it, and there was no training data to even get started with technology like that. That's why we started the business. Our mission of helping computers understand human voice is a well understood, almost universal mission. So whether we do it ourselves internally and focus on the go-to-market ourselves with partners, or we do it under the umbrella of a larger corporation, it's my job to make sure that we stay true to that product direction.
And you have 50 employees now.
Yeah.
So you are all in right now.
We've really grown the business,
yes.
And
okay.
We've had terrific opportunities to not only have a successful business, but also to actively contribute to the field of knowledge inside artificial intelligence. Balancing those, which I think are very cool pieces, with investor expectations, is a very important part of what I do. And when I look at our investor base, we certainly have folks that are in it for the long term, and I think angel investors very often do invest for a long term with a business. But we certainly do have folks that are interested in seeing an exit come sooner rather than later. So we're trying to navigate between those, I wouldn't say competing interests, but between those important interests, right, and balance it out. Now, whether that takes 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, we evaluate it based on where are our investors at, where's the business at, and more importantly, where's our product vision at. What I could tell you is after 5 years, we are now at a point where our product stack very closely resembles the dream, the vision that we had for it when we started. And it has taken a very long time to build it out, because not only is the AI training component complex, but the human component of using crowd workers, stay-at-home mothers, housewives, veterans, returning warriors,
and how many,
college kids.
How many on a monthly basis are you engaging?
There's tens of thousands. We've got hundreds of thousands of registered workers. Right. 2/3 are women. 2/3 are domestic here in the U.S. These are folks with all walks of life. We've got crowd workers, ranging from college kids that do transcription jobs for beer money, all the way through to experienced professionals that may have, government clearance to do very specific pieces in a very specific way. And we've created the platform that allows folks to monetize the smallest iota of their downtime. So being able to deliver that service and create employment where there wasn't previously any was a really big part of our vision. Now, I think they call it insourcing now, but it's really about seeing, well, can we bring jobs back into the country that would traditionally be done in outsourced places? And can we do that in a way that builds a great business? So implementing on the platform to make that happen has brought us to where we are now. And the exciting part is, where do we go from here? Where do we go now that we've built out the stack that we dreamed about 5 years ago? I'm too a startup founder, and this is 18 years in the making, but I still think I'm a startup founder, and you are too. So at night, what are your biggest concerns about your business? And obviously, you have a lot of mouths to feed, and that was a great that was great information about job formation. I mean, we should know more about that. I mean, America, what our president's saying. So, but let's bring a lot of jobs here. But you're bringing jobs all around the world. But you're seeing a great platform here. Your 50 employees, are they international? Or are they mostly? They are. They're mostly in the U.S. But here's the other thing we found: by running a large distributed crowd platform. Not only do we have great transcribers, great QAs, great shift leads that help with the entire process, but we've got great people. And what we found is we have access to incredible talent of folks that come in through our platform to the point where they start off as a basic worker and become a core team member. My head of sales right now is based in Indiana. My head of operations is in Florida. We've got folks in Denver and in Seattle, all around the country, and in areas where you typically wouldn't think of hiring for a tech startup.
Okay, so I've asked you two questions. The second question is, your concerns when you go to bed at night. But in regards to what I like is you broke even, and which I think is powerful, because after 4 or 5 years to get to a place of break even as an angel investor, you've taken some of the risk out of it, and now we're patient. We want to watch you scale, but we also want to see. And again, I'm different because I don't really. I want to be long term, because I don't really want the liquidity. I want to see you do well, and obviously maybe exit 8, 9, 10 years out. But okay, your concerns and also exit.
I'll talk about my concerns on a personal level. My background is in software engineering and computer science. I did take business at Stanford, and so got some exposure to how to run startups. But for me, the biggest challenge is to make sure that I have stretch goals in my role. In the first year when we started TranscribeMe, I was helping with everything from recruiting crowd workers to writing some of the code and making the infrastructure and raising money. Now my role is about ensuring that our team communicates well, empowering everybody to have the right resources to do what they need, and then getting out of their way. And going forward, bigger and bigger part of my role starts focusing on governance and corporate growth. Mm-hmm. And all of these are very much stretch goals for me. These are things that, as a kid growing up and messing around with computers, I never thought that I would be working in corporate governance as one of the biggest thought pieces that I'd be doing. So the thing that keeps me up at night is really about making sure that not only do I have stretch goals so I can continue growing in this role as a startup founder, but I also have access to advisors. I have access to mentors. I have access to folks that have been there, done that, and can help get me to the place where I can be effective in what previously was a new experience for me. And that changes every year. I have to say, looking back on the last 5 years, every year my role's been different. And having angel investors, particularly on our cap table, has been fundamentally essential for keeping that true north. Right. And growing in this role.
Well, as a very successful entrepreneur and co-founder and CEO of TranscribeMe, you receive knowledge, and you've heard me many times when you've come to raise capital, and you've raised in 3 locations, Toronto, also Northwest, and also Northern California, is you receive knowledge and you do something with it. It's very frustrating as angel investors when we give knowledge, we give a resource. I can't tell you how many times I give a resource that they don't call. And so entrepreneurs, if you're watching, ask for resource, but do something with it. It's fantastic to have you here. It's amazing how quickly this went. This is 30 minutes. And so if you're interested in looking at other segments, please look at Keiretsu Forum Presents on YouTube. And please email me if you have great topics and or if you'd like to be on this great show. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Thanks, Alexa.
Thanks, Randy.